You and your husband helped a lot during the school board elections, reaching out to the community. Can you give me some insight? Did you find that people in the community align with or agree with what's going on inside the school districts now with the LGBT, with the passing students along, even if they're not understanding the material, teaching kids about, or I mean, just over sexualizing our children? What did you find in the community?
I come to find out that they do not agree with. We had met with a lot of Hispanic families, mostly men. So the fathers, we have conversations with my husband and I, and they don't support any of what is going on. And they have told us they don't know who to talk to. They've tried reaching out to the school. They've tried reaching out to teachers, principals, assistant principals, and they never get an answer. So I pointed to a picture of Brenda, and Brenda Campos Spitzy. I pointed to a picture of her and said, "Well, has this lady reached out to you? Do you know who she is? She is for the Hispanic community and she's representing us. So do you know who she is?" And they said, "No, we don't know who she is. Absolutely not." And these people, we would be standing out there for hours talking to one person, and it was very heartbreaking hearing their story.
Why do you think that they don't know who to talk to? Or why do you think that they are not standing up and speaking and calling this stuff out?
I asked that. I said, call the school. There are other people you can call. Go to the school board meeting. A lot of them don't have the time because, of course, they have to work long hours and they don't even know when the school board meetings are. So I had mentioned that to them, and then I said that they can even watch online. I even told them, me and my husband even contact us, and we will be the voice for you.
Yeah.
But they don't have the, again, language barrier. Yeah, there are tons of teachers who do know Spanish, but are they contacting the family? What are they saying that these parents feel so lost
Yeah.
and they're so confused? So I was curious to know what is going on. And they don't agree. A lot of the kids, it was like bullying or the whole transgender. A lot of Hispanics are Catholic. They don't believe in that. We had tons of dads tell us, no, we don't support that. And why are they pushing that in the schools? And we wouldn't bring it up. They would bring it.
Do you think that they see like Brenda Campos Spitzy's name and think, oh, she's a doctor and she's Hispanic and she's going to do what's best for our community?
I believe so. Yes.
And do you think she's doing what's best for your community?
No, she's brainwashing our community. That's what I think. That's what she's doing. She's brainwashing our community. Not being honest. If she was out there, during the campaign, like we were having these conversations and actually going down the list, what she supports and what she does, I'm pretty sure more than, 90% of the families would have not supported her. But I honestly believe that as us as Hispanics, we were taught, we were raised pretty much like, oh, we're going to be on the lower income. We're going to be poor. So she works, Sunrise Clinic, both her and her husband.
Yeah.
That's on the lower income side, of town.
Yep.
So if she wants to help our community, she should say, you know what? Let's find a way to get you the assistance, to get you on your feet so you can get off, these assistant programs for whatever the case may be.
Well, how to achieve more than what, maybe somebody thinks that they're capable of achieving or all that they're capable of achieving. How do you think we can get the Hispanic community to step up more and to become more involved with the school district?
I'm not sure. I've been trying to figure that out. I'm trying to find ways if we can even meeting, at parks or uh, anywhere. But I'm not sure. I don't know if they actually want to get in, or if maybe if they're afraid. I've also heard, we're afraid because we don't want any backlash. If we speak out, then what if, something bad happens to our kids, or our kids get penalized, or even them?
Where's that idea coming from? Do you feel like somebody's telling them, hey, don't ever speak up, don't ever question this because of these ramifications? Or do you like, where does that worry come from?
I would ask parents, well, why do you feel this way? What's making you? Who's telling you? And they would say, well, we've tried to speak out about things before, but they just tell us, our kids are lying, or we're looking into it too much. And so they give up. They don't have anywhere to go or anyone to talk to.
So, when you sign your kid up for public school, you get a little handbook and it's your parents' rights handbook. But nobody really reads it because, one, it's usually like legal jargon and that doesn't make any sense and is always confusing as all get out. But then if English is your second language or it's not very strong language for you at all, and maybe you don't have much of an education, even with a master's degree, sometimes I have a hard time understanding some of the legal jargon and how it's written when I read the bills that they're pushing down at the legislative level. I'm like, okay, I got to read this 4 times and out loud and slowly and like ask somebody else, like, can you explain this to me? Like, how does this make sense? I think we need to have a night where we have people come and they learn about their parental rights. And then it's also available to them and, a translator to be there to help translate it to them. But the problem is that the school district doesn't want people to actually be educated on their rights. Just because they don't know or they don't understand doesn't mean that their kids should not get the help that they need. They should not be prevented from advocating for their children, protecting their children against curriculum. Some of the stuff that we see going on, we talked about majority of the Hispanics are Catholics, and with the comprehensive sex ed, I mean, we're not just teaching kids the birds and the bees, we're adding in all of these other things and alternatives, and it completely goes against their beliefs and their cultures, their convictions. They say that they're going to hire people of color to make students feel like more included, but really the best way that they could make them feel more included is to take into consideration these families' core values and beliefs.
Yeah, I agree. I've done a lot of thinking, a lot of brainstorming, my husband and I, to figure out how we can help. We haven't been able to come to a conclusion and what we can do, but I honestly have thought about going to the schools. Why can't I go to the school, any school, as, as kids are getting out, and have conversations with parents, even if it's a couple parents. Gonna start opening their eyes.
Yeah.
Gonna start educating.
Completely. I think that it's also great to see like your husband. I mean, obviously, I think it's great to see you be involved in everything, but I think that it sends a really good message too to see a strong male. I think that we need that so badly for our kids. We need the men to come out. We need the men to stand up and speak up because, like, especially if you look at like the Hispanic community, right? Like, they still have those values that, the head of the house, the man. And I think that I agree with those values 100%. And so I think that when they start to see, the men coming out and being involved, I think that this is just across the board. We don't see a lot of dads around, right? Like, unfortunately, in this day and age, we have created a culture that allows for dads to be absent, and not absent because they're busy working and putting food on the table, but, multiple baby mamas, jumping from one house to the next, some of those things not involved in their children's education. And so I think when we see strong men, I think that helps a lot. And I think it sends a really good message. And I just really hope that the work that you and Javi are doing will continue to encourage other people in the community to also stand up and speak up and to get more involved.
I really hope so. I know with our last go around, my husband has spoken at the school board meeting, and then he also tried again at the forum
Mm-hmm.
back in
October.
and well, we got removed from both of those situations, so it's very discouraging.
Yeah. Will you go into that a little bit more? Let's start with the school board meeting. What did he do to get removed from the boardroom?
So when he went up and did his presentation, his speech, he was just calling out Brenda about how she says she represents us in our Hispanic community, in our culture. And he was telling her, it's not true. If you really were out there talking to people like we were, you would know that everything that's coming out of your mouth, everything that you say is just a bunch of lies.
Yeah.
So once he was done with that, we went and sat down, and then a gentleman came up, but he had asked if my husband be willing to go talk with him out in the hall. And Javi looked at me, he said, "Should I go?" And I said, "Yeah." So he went, and then I shortly followed. Well, when we were out there in the hallway, he was just trying to gather information on where we were getting our information from.
You mean like the fact that Brenda doesn't actually represent the community? Did he think that you guys were not putting in the legwork to talk to the community and thought somebody else was telling you this?
I believe so. I think he was wanting me. He wanted to know what place, where had we, been going, if we were going to businesses, what area of town were we going? And I told him, I said, that's why, so you can go run back and tell Brenda, no, we've kept this information between us and the community, and it's really none of your business.
His name is Brian Limos, and he's the director of instruction and ELD. What came of that? Did anybody else reach out to you guys? Was that pretty much it?
That was it. He said that he would reach out to my husband because he wanted to come together as a community. Us Hispanics belong together and we need to work together. So my husband said, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to talking to you more so we can get people out here representing these families. And he never did.
Yeah. Never heard back, even though he was the one that had said that he wanted to work with you guys. You guys didn't say, "Hey, can we have a meeting and talk about this?" He was the one. I was there at that meeting, and honestly, I felt like he was the one that was sent to speak with you guys because he is Hispanic and you guys are Hispanic. And I think that's ridiculous because it's like they're trying to manipulate you. They're trying to make you think, oh, good, a Hispanic person. But it just goes on and shows how empty their desire is, how much they do not actually want to work with you. Because if you still haven't heard from them, and it's not like anything that your husband had said during his public comment, it wasn't disrespectful, it wasn't rude, it was truthful. And it's sad that they just feel like they can manipulate you guys that way in hopes that you'll sit down and shut up and not bring it up again because you Hispanics are going to stick together and work together. At the campaign forum that you guys went to, if I remember correctly, Javi had asked a question of Brenda to explain why she did not answer the questions on the voter guide, specifically about, supporting some of the LGBT transgender ideologies that were seeing pushed through the schools. And how did she answer that?
She said there was really no right or wrong answer. It was not a yes or no answer. She beat around the bush. She didn't even give, and it is a yes or no answer. It wasn't a hard question. Those aren't hard questions. Everyone else gave an answer, so why couldn't her? And then, sorry, they got very defensive.
Yep.
My husband was shut down immediately. He wanted to follow up with another question on that voter guide. And actually, Rhonda Solis started screaming at us for us to be removed.
Yep. Which is funny because it's like, we're going to hire people of colors that our students feel represented, but we're going to kick out the same people, the same ethnicity as us, the same race as us, because we don't like what they're saying. So that just makes you think when it would come to hiring, they're only going to hire the people that looks like them, that says what they want them to say. That's going to be easily controlled, easy puppet for them. Have you guys had any type of interaction since with Brenda or Rhonda in any capacity? Have they reached out to you to try to have an understanding of where you guys are coming from?
No, we have not. My husband and I actually thought about reaching out to Brenda and Rhonda, but then we just have so many different beliefs, and I don't think the conversation would go or end well. So me and my husband took a step back, and we haven't been involved as much as we'd like. But we will make another appearance at another school board meeting, and we're not going anywhere. We're gonna bring more people to the table with us, and we're gonna be, we're stronger in numbers.
Yes, yes. And then I think that's gonna really make them panic when they start to see the numbers increasing. I think part of the reason that there's not these informative meetings for the Hispanic community or Spanish-speaking community is because they don't want them to be educated. They don't want them to know, because they don't want them to stand up and speak up. They like the authority that they have. They have the upper hand, and they like that. And so I think that if they start to see more Hispanic people showing up with you guys and being willing to get up there and speak, I think that is very important. And I think that it's definitely going to make them panic.
Yeah, it needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jalisa. I really appreciate it. I feel like this was a great conversation and definitely gives parents more education on what other options are out there for them, and then also what is going on in the school. I hope you will join us again.
Absolutely, Stacy. Thank you for having me. It was a great conversation, and I hope to come back.
Perfect. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Please be sure to like, follow, and share our episode. You can find us on Twitter at Schoolhouse Croc, on YouTube at Schoolhouse Croc, and you can email us at stacy4d6@gmail.com. Goodbye.